Hello everyone, my name is MercurioBlue, and this is Lord of the Rings collector booster box opening. I had to stop the recording and re-record it because there was some background noise. Anyways, so this was the box topper, is bag end, aka a Horizon canopy. And Horizon canopy used to be pretty expensive because it was the only land that did that specific ability for a while, being able to sacrifice it to draw a card and pay or pay a life in those color. And Modern Horizons came out with a cycle of enemy colored dual lands that do the same thing, and then also Horizon Canopy itself was printed. Anyways, this was the first pack. Was Willowwind, Inherited Envelope, Galadrim Guide, Nimble Hobbit, Brother Burberry Innkeeper, then Eomer of the Rittermark, aka Fire Elemental, with haste, easier casting costs, and it attacks and makes a 1/1. You've definitely power creep since the days of Fire Elemental. Forest. Other Eomer, rare, but generally much less healing unless you have some way of abusing the additional combat phase. Globe, Child of Ungoliant. Lothlorien Blade. Oh, this is like a commander card or something. 3 mana, artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature defending player control. Equip Elf 2, equip 5. So that's kind of neat. It'll turn your creature into an FTK when it attacks. And it has like, it's like a elf centric equipment because it's cheaper when it's equipped on elves. A Nazgul. This is definitely I haven't seen this art of it. I know there's like 9 different arts, but kind of cool. It's like it looks like he's jumping or Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, or have you ever played any definitely on Faramir. Flash of the Balrog. A foil Nazgul. Okay, so we got 2 Nazgul, 1 pack. And a Eomer Marshal of Rohan foil. Say food. I've been wondering about, like, I guess the archetypes in this set, and it does seem like some of them worked out really well, like the orc goblin stuff was, but some of it obviously didn't work out, like the frying food centric stuff. Draw 2. But not every like draft archetype has to be like really good. I mean, sometimes they just don't quite make it. And I will admit, when I was looking at the previews for this set, I definitely undervalue Tempt mechanic. I didn't realize how much improve the actual game. Dire Terrace, Spyro Orthonk, Galadrimbo, Eastmark Cavalier, Dunedain Rangers, Rosie Cotton of South Lane, which has an infinite combo with Scurry Oak. Scurry Oak being a 3 mana 1/2 with Evolve. It's a anytime whenever it gets a +1/+1 counter, make a 1 token. Lanes. For the Last Alliance, The right deck, it's double Demonic Tutor with a Cleaver Riot attached to it. Moria Marauder. Lord of the Nazgul, 3 generic, blue, black, legendary creature, Wraith Noble, flying 4/3. Wraiths you control have protection from Ring Bearers. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 3/3 black Wraith creature token with menace. And if you can 9 or more Wraiths, Wraiths you control have base power and toughness 9. There's that reason to collect all those Nazgul. I mean, there's like other Wraith creatures in Magic as well, like Street Wraith, and will include, of course, Changelings, Faramir, Field Commander, Meduseld, Golden Hall of Edoras, so Castle Ardenvale. Mm-hmm. Kind of neat. It's just like a alternate Castle Ardenvale. It's kind of Legolas, Master Archer, for when you need Itchclaw Recluse. Next, Bilbo, Retired Burglar, and Aragorn, King of Gondor, 1 generic, blue, red, white, legendary creature, human, noble, vigilance, lifelink 4/4. Whenever Aragorn, King of Gondor, enters the battlefield, become the monarch. Whenever Aragorn attacks, up to 1 target creature can't block this turn. If you're the monarch, creatures can't block this turn. I guess Monarch must be a really popular mechanic in EDH because they keep printing new cards with it. If you're not familiar with Monarch, Monarch basically gives you an emblem that says at the end of your turn, draw a card, and then if a creature deals combat damage to you, that creature's controller becomes Monarch. The food or army. I will say the pack crinkling noise is actually somewhat therapeutic. I wonder if someone could just make a 10-hour extended video of pack cracking noises. Claim the Precious, aka Murder with set mechanic. Polar Gear Survivor. Actually, the thing that impressed me about this card is that it's not like a lot of the time when they print a card like this, it's just add blue or something, spend this mana to cast an instant or sorcery spell. But this actually says add 1 mana of any color, so you can use it to flash. Rohirrim Lancer, Willowwind, Yoan, Lady of Rohan, Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, a Mountain, Hugh the Entwood. This card has lots of text on it, but ultimately doesn't really that much unless you have like a ton of like artifacts. Of artifacts and lands. Range of Ithilien. Why here? Greatest of the Eagles. I feel like this is like this is definitely going to contribute to the why didn't they take Eagle more to Mount Doom, but why here? Greatest of the Eagles, 4 generic and a white. Legendary creature, Bird Noble, flying 5/5. Whenever Gwaihir attacks, target attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, create a 3/3 white bird creature token with flying, and whenever this creature attacks, target attacking creature gains flying. Legolas counter of kills. Barad-dûr. Flame of Anor. This was a card I think people were trying to experiment playing with it in modern. Since there's a fair number of, I guess, like, technically playable wizards in modern, but I think it quickly fell wayside to the Orcish Masters One Ring stuff that happens now. But Gimli counter kills and a Lobelia Sackville Baggin. I mean, I definitely remember the days when Snapcaster Mage was a competitive modern card. But feels like those days have been long gone, just due to power creep nowadays. Nasty End. Also very flavorful if you sacrifice Saruman for this card while controlling green. Now for Wrath, now for Ruin. Shower of Arrows. Dire Scarecrow, aka Purposed. Salvage Mana Worker, but now it's a Defender and it's a 3. Meridog Brandybuck. Rider, Ranger of the North. Elven Chorus. Isildur's Fateful Strike, which is the first legendary instant that I know of, like the original cycle of the legendary spells came in Dominaria 2018. Sorceries only. So like the idea between a legendary instant or legendary sorcery that you can only cast it if you control a legendary or a planeswalker. Further legendary. Ring Wraiths. 4 generic and 2 black creature Wraith Knight 5/5. When Ring Wraiths enter the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls get -3/-3. That creature legendary, its controller loses your life. When the ring tempts you, return Ring Wraiths from your. Again, it's like a ring tempt you type card, and it's also a Wraith tribal thing. Elrond, Lord of Rivendell. Lions of Moria. Nasty Ends. Many Partings. Fangorn, Tree Shepherd, and a food human soldier. Got Morgul Knife Wound. I like the foils are a little bit hard to like, focus on for some reason. I don't know why. Erebor Flamesmith. Soothing of Smeagol. Mirkwood Bats. Go for the Grey Host, which combines really well with the Mirkwood Bats, because this makes a bunch of tokens. Quick Beam, Upstart, Ent. Island. One ring to rule them all. Born Upon a Wind. Assume it's good in some kind of like combo deck or deck that would want to play Alchemist Refuge type cards. Gilrain Dunedain Protector. 2 generic and a white, legendary creature, human noble, 2/3, generic tap. exile another target creature you control. You may return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you don't, at the beginning of the next end step, turn that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a counter lifelink. So this can protect one of your other creatures. It'll let you reuse an ETB, and if you choose not to like bring it back right away, like maybe there's a wipe happening, it will come back with a Peregrine took Morgul Knife. Ooh, that's kind of neat. It says Shadow Spear. Yeah, you can put this card next to the Morgul Knife Wound and create your own little this. What happens? I guess it would be like this. Bilbo, Retired Burglar. Gondalf, Friend of the Shire. Pippin, Guard of the Citadel. A food token. Human soldier. I definitely need to go through all the common piles and get all the land cycling, or at least all the Lorien reveal, well, not out of the pile, since now that's like a desirable card. Go figure. Battle Scarred Goblin, Nimrodel Watcher, Generous Ent, Fog on the Barrow Downs, Goblin Fire Leaper, Gorbog of Minas Morgul, Plains, Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, Sharky, Tyrant of the Shire. Basically, it's good versus opponents' lands with activated. Not really that great with I guess it's kind of okay against like Urza Saga for a couple turns, but not really. I guess wait until they pick up to there. I don't know. There's probably like some combo of it. I guess you could sack the Sharky if it's if copying like your opponent's field of room. Cavern Horde Dragon with the normal really high mana costs for a dragon. Instead it's strongly intended for EDH. 7 generic and 2 red, creature dragon, 6/6. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest number of effects. Oh, I see. So it gets a discount for based on the number of artifacts, like your opponent, like one opponent controls the greatest. You know what I mean? Like if you have an opponent that had like artifact. Flying Trample of Haste. Whenever Cavern Horde Dragon deals combat damage to a player, you create a treasure token for each art. Neat. So it's like Ramp Dragon that does a lot of Flying Trample and Haste. Samwise, Stout-Hearted, Helm's Deep, which is Shinka the Blood-Soaked Keep, legendary land. Target legendary creature gains first strike until turn if you're not familiar with a card. This card also used to get played in Modern because of the Rakdos mid-range deck, though I think they've moved away from bad Blood Moon, I guess. I don't know. Dunland Corbane, aka Training Champion at Home. Rising of the Day, which is basically Fervor Plus. And an Eowyn Fearless Knight. Food, Tentacle token. Anyone remember that game, Day of the Tentacle? So some of those old LucasArts adventure games were actually pretty hard, but I think that's also because back in the day, game facts didn't exist. I mean, like YouTube didn't exist either. So it's like you couldn't just like go onto like YouTube for a get a you know walkthrough. You have to actually like figure stuff out on your own. Deceive the Messenger, which I think is like the best version of like a temporary power decrease type card that I've seen in a while. Just don't try to use this to try and ambush a ring bearer. It doesn't usually work out very well. At least if you're targeting their creature. You can target your own creature to make it smaller so they can block. Like the Deathless, which is very flavorful because it's one of the ways of getting rid of Witch King of Angmar. Pippin's Bravery. Bewitching Leechcraft. I mean, two mana claustrophobia that has like has a bit of side like army creatures with +1/+1 counters on it. Bath Song, which is the favorite of many of a very dirty draft game. They love to play multiple copies of Bath Song or Revive the Shire, procure their Bath Song. Shire Sheriff, Forest, Gondal the White, Oil, kind of neat. Yeah, so it's has a little bit of the um Wrath Patient ship mage thing, but also like a little bit of Panharmonicon ish. Ball of Care Andros. Globe Dreadweaver, 3 generic and a black. Legendary creature Spider Demon. Never a non-token creature an opponent controls dies. 2 generic and a black. Put a creature card exiled with Shalob Dreadweaver into its owner's graveyard. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on Shalob, draw a card. Then X, 1 generic, 1 black. Put target creature card with mana value X, exiled with Shalob onto the battlefield tapped on. Kinda neat. It's like a pseudo uh not like graveyard hate, but it's like it hates on death triggers of like your opponent's creatures, but then also like you can get a little bit of value. Activated abilities. Activated abilities. Gimli, counter of kills. The Dead Marshes, ooh, Urborg. Like that. Is definitely quite pricey now. Very good in EDH. Lost Isle Calling. Gothmog Morgul Lieutenant. And a foil Delighted Halfling. Delighted Halfling is definitely one of those cards that has put an impact on modern food and army. Mostly because it makes the One Ring uncounterable, and it also makes Omnath uncounterable, and it makes Ren and 6. Makes Teferi uncounterable. So. And the One Ring is also uncounterable. Dunland Crebain, Gimli's Axe, Flash of the Balrog, Hook Reaper, Bilbo Retired Burglar. I will say I didn't think this card was that good when I first saw it, but now I've actually played against it, I've come to realize that whenever my opponent plays like a turn 3 build that game, A little too good. Good. Shortcut to mushrooms. Forest. Gloin Dwarf Emissary. Radagast the Brown, which has like a crap load of text on it, but basically it rewards you for having a lot of expensive creatures, but also like creatures that don't share types with creatures. So yeah, very unique creature types. Good there. Treebeard, Gracious Host, two generic and a green and a white legendary creature, Treefolk, Trample Ward 2. When Treebeard, Gracious Host enters the battlefield, create 2 food tokens. Whenever you gain life, put that many +1/+1 count. Target halfling or. So it's following the same stat line as Doran, the Siege Tower. It does cost 4 mana, but it does have Trample and it can start growing when you gain life. It comes with like food tokens, so gain life that way, or lifelink creatures or soul sisters gain life. Proto Dragons also extremely good in limited because it's very good at killing like 1 power creatures that your opponent might have, or pump it. Sometimes even like Galadriel of Lothlorien, Pippin's Bravery, Oliphant, which is getting play in Living End, and a Mines of Moria Human Soldier. Yeah, that's another thing I didn't realize how good those land cyclers were going to be in Constructed, because the fact that they don't say basic on them is really big, and the fact that they play really well versus Blood Moon. Since the problem with, like, usually Blood Moon's really good against like decks that have um 3 or more colors of mana, but those land cyclers, they play around Blood Moon because you can just cycle them from your hand, whereas like if it was a fetch land, it would just be a big Errand Rider of Gondor. I really like how they have made like these white card draw creatures more like interesting, like instead of just making them like firing over or because that's just like really simple. But this is actually like a lot like better because it has that legendary creature text on. Dagan Porter, Protector of Gondor, aka Loyal Cathars or whatever, from Midnight Hunt. Largear Survivor, Gothmog, Morgul Lieutenant. Fear Fire Foes, aka I get hella mad at the computer game. That's this. But it's basically like a big win. Uh, Lord of the Rings draft. All of the Ring, yep. This is definitely nice to play early. Has a lot of like synergy. Ring tempts a creature type cards like Gandalf, Faramir, the mono white Faramir, Aragorn, the green white one. Horn of Gondor, aka a spawner of many epic sacks. Gondor. Eleanor Gardner, 3 generic and a green. Legendary creature, Halfling Scout. When Eleanor Gardner enters the battlefield, create a food token. At the beginning of your end step, if you sacrifice a food this turn, you may search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tab and then. So it is good with food generators, and you don't have to necessarily sack the food to its own ability, but you can do that, but you can also like sack the food to like things like has more whatever. Or I can't say the name, but you know what I mean. That 1 mana 3. Elrond, Lord of Rivendell. On Bombadil. Kinda neat. It looks like he's like teleporting in or something. The Grey Havens. Wizards Rockets. And then Elrond Mass. A food orc army. So now that I think about it, I think like the really expensive like really expensive foils only actually come from like the collector sample boosters that come with like the commander decks. That's why you don't really see them very often. But I just remember like in double masters, etched foils were actually pretty common. And that's it's just a lot of them actually aren't even like, that much high. Anyways, Hiflane Knots, Orgul Knife Wound, Erebor Flamesmith, Soothing of Smeagol, Saruman the White, Ugluk of the White Hand, Mountain, Sauron's Ransom. Oh yeah, Sauron's Ransom is also like a card that's been picked up because turns out like 3 mana factor fiction that can make a creature legend super relevant. But there's more people also playing like modern now as a result of that one specific card. The ring goes south. I mean, it's not just that. It's also the one. Minamo is good with it. Boromir, Gondor's Hope. 2 generic and a white blue legendary creature. Human warrior 3/4. Whenever Boromir, Gondor's Hope enters the battlefield or attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a human or artifact card from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a range. So it's a human synergy card, and it even like the Horn of Gondor because it's an artifact. I mean, it even shows him king the in the art. I mean, Gondal, Friend of the Shire, Pippin, Guard of the Citadel. This is my favorite card on the Citadel. Frodo, Sauron's Bane, Gondal, Friend of the Shire, Legolas, Master Archer, and a food orc arm. Rally at the Hornburg, which this is like the best version of like forbidden friendship I've seen. But anyway, Hobbit's thing, Vibe the Shire, Isolation of Orthonk, which is actually kind of interesting. It's basically Riptide, but it actually puts the creature second from the top. So I guess it's like it's like a cheaper version of like Chrono Stutter, which was like a 6 mana instant that did this. But I think the interesting part about this card is that it's worded like And it doesn't give like the owner like the option to put it on the bottom of their library, unlike with oral cleanse. March of the Fish Restoration, Solemn, Patient Plotter, Island, Mines of Moria, The Watcher in the Water, Galadriel Gift Giver, 3 generic and 2 green, legendary creature, elf, noble, 4/4. Whenever Galadriel Gift Giver enters the battlefield or attacks 2, put a 1/1 counter on another target creature, create a food token, create a treasure token. So yeah, this does have a lot of text on it. It's not quite, Elder Gargaroth levels of text, but it's an elf. Miraduck, Brandybuck, Sauron the Necromancer, Gondal, Friend of the Shire, Frodo Baggins, and a Frodo Sauron's Bane. Ballistic. See those goblins on for dear life. Inherited Envelope, Galadrim Guide, Nimble Hobbit, Iflame Knots, Mirror Gladriel, Prince Imrahil the Fair, Samwise Gamgee, which is getting played in modern cat combo decks now. All of the Ring, Corsairs of Umbar, 3 generic in the blue, creature human pirate, 2 generic in the blue, target goblin, orc, or pirate can't be blocked. Whenever Corsairs of Umbar deals combat damage, they're a mass orcs. So it's like a hill giant that can make certain types of creatures unblockable, and it can also amass combat damage to a player. Right, Golem, Patient Plotter. The party tree. Oh boy, look at that. Dang. That's pretty nice. Yeah, it's a great hinge, which, I mean, is really, really expensive now. Yeah, if you're not familiar with the Great Hinge, it's got a lot of text on it, but it's all good for, basically just gives you like a bunch of life and plus one count. A lot. Wizard Rockets, Mirkwood Bats, the Galadriel of Lawthorn. That's really shiny. Let's kind of food. Alright, we didn't get any Bowmasters today, but we did get 2 Nazgul, foil Nazgul, Horizon Canopy, Box Hopper, the Shadow Spear, a Shinka, foil Gondal the White, an Urborg, a foil Borderless Delight Halfling, foil Call of the Ring, foil Sauron's Ransom, a coloring, and Great Hint. That was a nice box. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. I will be posting more of these videos to the channel approximately 3 times a week. And also be sure to check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/MercurioBlue, where I will be doing some constructed and draft gameplay. But anyways, I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, and I will see you. Thank you. Bye.